If you knew the secret that I'm going to share with you today, you could have purchased Zilliqa before it did its 500%, because this is a four-part series of Zilliqa. We're on part 3 today. We've covered pattern, we've covered price, and today we're going to cover momentum. Momentum, a momentum indicator that coincides with pattern and price that gives you a massive edge to see what's likely to occur before it occurs. So you can optimize your buying position and also your selling position. So if you like today's content, like, subscribe, hit the bell notification. If you don't know me by now, my name is Jiggy. I'm the award-winning author of The Extraordinary New Venture Capital Opportunity, How to Invest Like a Pro. Been featured in the best-selling book, High Probability Trading Strategies, back in 2008, where I only used to focus on currencies, but now exclusive on crypto. So let's dive straight into Zilliqa. So in part 1 and part 2, we did pattern, a wave 1, a wave 2. If you haven't seen it, go back and watch the last 2. It's really, really valuable because we're going to add to what we covered already. And then it was a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of a wave C of a 2. That was the pattern position of Zilliqa before it's taken off. And we've noticed it's taken off, but we're just seeing how do we identify it before it takes off. Then we did Fibonacci price, where we've taken these relationships with this wave. And in part 2, we covered how do we come up with this zone ahead of time. What we're going to do next is we're going to add in momentum, a momentum indicator, and I'm going to share with you my absolute favorite by far because it's very visual and it's very easy to read. And by the way, if you're brand new to Elliott waves and Fibonacci and you want to learn how you can do this for all of your cryptocurrency portfolio to give you an edge on the market, in the description below, I have my free Elliott wave and Fibonacci Masterclass, which breaks it down step by step by step, including the three key rules that you need to know with Elliott wave to apply it successfully. You get instant access as well, by the way. Click this, that boom, video on demand. So with Zilliqa, what I'm going to do now, I've prepared it in advance, is a momentum indicator. And my favorite, by far, is something called the Stochastics RSI. Yes, the Stochastics RSI. Now, just to note, indicators like this are what's called a lagging indicator, and Elliott wave Fibonacci is a leading indicator. So we're looking into the future, and then with the momentum indicator, we're looking into the past to help us identify the rhythm of the market. And what we're really looking for over here is this low over here marries up quite nicely with this momentum indicator when the blue line basically goes over the red. Blue line goes over the red. And what we're looking for is when pattern and price is in coincidence or in a confluence of events with the momentum as well. So we want to find the best indicator that represents this for us. This low over here, we can see this over here, this low, local low over here, over here. So now we're getting close to this, what looks like an end of a wave 5 of a C of a 2. So the next bullish reversal should be over here like this, bump and bump. And that should probably more than likely coincide with the local low. Very, very important, very, very powerful. So what we're going to do is we're going to now unfold the data. So we know Zilliqa's already taken off. And then we're going to do in part 4 what's likely to occur in the future based on Elliott wave and Fibonacci projections that we're going to use. So now we've got pattern, price, and momentum. So what we're waiting for, we can do a few more advanced things where we can look at indicators on multiple degrees of time frame. We can keep us quite simple today and just look at the daily chart and unfold the data. So what we're looking for is where the blue line crosses over the red. And on this day over here, on the 9th of March, the blue line crosses over the red. We can see that. Hopefully you can see that really, really clearly over here. The blue line crosses over the red. Now there's also another indicator within this that gives us a clue. It's that this low to this low, as in the crossover, is moving up. But the price action on the same front within those time frames is moving down. When that occurs, that's what you call convergence. Price is moving down and the momentum is moving up. So there's a disparity. How can the price be moving down but the momentum is moving up? That normally occurs at the end of a trend. Yeah, it's called convergence, where they're moving toward each other, or even that way, moving towards each other. And that's a clue. So now we've got pattern, we've got price, we've got a momentum bullish reversal, and as a bonus, we've got something called a convergence. So now at this stage, what we want to be looking for is an entry point to this potential move over here. There's a couple of other things we can look at. It's going into a bit more detail, and it's part one. This also seems to be breaking down to a 5-wave sequence. So what would be a good entry is potentially above this swing high. There's a few different ways of looking at it. You'd be a bit more conservative to go along this swing high. So you want to have your own entry strategies. So now what we're going to do is we're going to unfold the data and to take it up to date, because now we've got the three key things: pattern, price, and momentum, telling us Zilliqa as a whole, and let's just zoom out like this, is looking good to make a potential wave 2 low. And after a wave 2 comes a wave 3. In part 4, we're going to do some projections, but typically wave 3s should exceed, if I can draw this over here, should exceed the wave 1 high. Right? In other words, we are anticipating all-time new highs to eventually be made, similar to what we saw with Solana. Right? I'm just going to pull up Solana for a second, because Solana did a very similar pattern that we're seeing with Zilliqa, this A, B, C correction, and then it went up to make all-time new highs in a new 5-wave sequence. With Zilliqa, we're going to do some projections in advance of what's likely to occur, but now let's just unfold the data day by day to see what actually occurred. Well, we know what occurred, but let's just have a look. Boom, we would have been triggered there if we had that entry point. Now, keep in mind, we don't know how the market is going to take off. It's just likely to make a wave 3, and a wave 3 is very, very impulsive. Zilliqa was a bit unusual in the sense we had this massive spike in one day. That's huge. That went from 5 cents to pretty much 10 cents, doubled. And Zilliqa is $1 billion market cap cryptocurrency, so that takes a lot of volume. And that's normally a news event. And I believe they mentioned or they announced something to do with the metaverse on this day. And then we had some amazing follow through, Boom. That is just immense, right? And this is where Zilliqa is today. So what should we anticipate next? Well, that's what we're going to cover in part 4. But first of all, we want to acknowledge that we've got this massive movement to the upside. We've taken out this previous wave B high, which will confirm this low down here. We ideally want to see a movement above this high over here. We've gone from 4 cents to around 20 cents, which is a 500%. So if you was in this position, you ideally want to be taking some profits and becoming risk-free, because anything can still happen. Now, the likelihood is Zilliqa is going to go on to make all-time new highs, but that's not guaranteed. Right? We want to have that mindset and that mentality that is probabilities and never certainties. It's looking good. This is the biggest, most bullish movement that Zilliqa's pretty much ever has had, especially in this current cycle. I think, what's the price data before this? Yeah, we won't go into that. So what we're going to cover next is what's likely to occur next as an end of wave 3. And what I'm going to challenge you to do is, in my Fibonacci and Elliott Wave Masterclass, I actually cover end of wave 3 price targets, end of wave 3 Elliott Wave counts. So if you take the masterclass and watch that section, watch the whole thing, but that section, maybe, go over it a couple of times if you can and make some notes. So when you do watch the next part 4 of Zilliqa, where we're going to do wave 3, end of wave 3 price targets and what's likely to occur, so you can really leverage the trend, because the trend is your friend. Ride it until its end, until it reaches its bend. Even though Zilliqa has done a 500%, it's still likely to make all-time new highs, or at least that exceed that previous wave 5. And we want to, they'll say wave 1, wave 5, or wave 1. And we want to see what's that likely to be. Doesn't mean it's going to happen, but we want to leverage the entire trend and ride it and not take the entire profit too soon. So risk-free is objective 1. And part 2 is really going to be riding the trend until its end. And sometimes it can really go. Like with Solana, it really took off. Like when it took off, we did this video over here, prepared for this, and then it took off, and it really took off, and then it came down and it continued taking off. And that was a 10 times multiple. It was 1,000% from down here to all the way up here. So again, take the masterclass. You'll get immediate access. We'll cover a lot, but see if you can do it before the next episode for part 3, because yeah, you'll just be more on the ball. So yeah, like, subscribe, hit the bell notification, and we're going to finish on a quote. I know the quote. I know it's the Warren Buffett quote. The Warren Buffett quote. Rule number 1, never lose money. Rule number 2, never forget rule number 1. On a practical perspective, we can say when you're looking to take a new position, get the odds in your favor to minimize the chances of you losing money. And when you see pattern, price, and momentum coinciding, it's a good high probability setup. But to find out if you're right, you want to have acceptable capital exposure, meaning knowing that it's not guaranteed to go your way. So if you're right, you make money. If you're wrong, you take a small loss, or you have to, hodl through that period of time. So you're really, really acting with consistency in a mechanical, non-emotional way with objectivity. And that's the whole secret behind trading like a pro. Take the masterclass, and I'll see you in part 4. We're going to cover the wave 3 or the potential wave 3 projections in advance for Zilliqa. See you soon.